I felt this like release of like, oh my gosh, like I finally for the first time in like a really long time just sort of feel like fully free and fully relaxed. And I was very fortunate that Angela actually was on that trip with us. So I got to meet her and spend time with her. But because I sort of knew a little bit about, you know, her circumstances, and I guess like my gut just told me, like I could tell things were not good. And so when Vida was like, this is kind of what I want to do. And I was like, you know what? I need to just put my big girl pants on and email Angela and ask her if she would ever be willing to sell that business.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the HumanizeHer podcast. I'm your host, Erica Lockheimer.
And I'm your co-host, Elizabeth.
In this episode, we sit down with Tanya Staples and Vida Forrest y Salazar, the dynamic duo who pivoted from high-powered tech careers at LinkedIn to become the co-owners and managing partners of Ace Camps Travel. After experiencing their own need to defrost from the corporate grind, they reunited to curate immersive small group journeys they call Me Retreats, that are experiences designed to help travelers reconnect with themselves through adventure, culture, and education. Unlike standard tours, they prioritize active participation over passive sightseeing, taking guests into the studios of local masters for hands-on workshops like weaving and ceramics. Tanya and Vida share how they are redefining the second act by building a business rooted in creative discovery and the economic empowerment of artisans around the world. Let's get into it. This episode of HumanizeHer is brought to you by BitGo. Just like we believe every woman deserves the tools to thrive, BitGo believes every business deserves the digital asset infrastructure to scale, because digital represents more accessibility, more transparency, and more possibilities for everyone. Thank you, BitGo, for sponsoring Women's Voices. Welcome to the HumanizeHer podcast, Tanya and Vida.
We're so excited. Thank you. We go back like in different ways, all of us. So
much.
This is amazing getting us in the same room.
Yeah. So thank you. And you drove here too. So.
We did.
Through the rain.
In the rain.
In the rain in California where no one knows how to drive in the rain.
Yeah. So you dodged all of them and you made it good, or you showed them some moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little bob and weave.
Just a bit.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's such a, the history that we have at LinkedIn, all of us had worked together. You're still at LinkedIn, but we had all worked together at some point of LinkedIn. And it's just been a place where I know I've learned a lot, and especially worked very, very closely with you. We were on the same team for LinkedIn Learning.
We were.
Yeah. And so you also have some of your crew that you worked with that's actually producing this right now.
I do. It's nice to be reunited with, I feel like two different parts of my life. Many of us that were, Ash in particular, lynda.com early days, and then Vida, and, then you from the LinkedIn chapter. So yeah.
Yeah, we're getting the band back together. So this is like pretty special moment. So
nostalgic.
It is very nostalgic. So I'm feeling it. It feels good. But we want to go through, we have so much to go through because there's your journey, your career's journey, and that we want to make sure that we understand who you are, and then also the exciting stuff that you're doing now. So let's first walk through maybe your career journey first, and then we're going to talk about Vida, and then how you merge together, and
love it.
Let's just go with the flow. Yeah, we got a lot to cover. So where do we want to start? It's a loaded question.
Oh yeah, where do we start, and what's the interesting pieces to take out? I guess I will say, growing up, I always thought I would be a teacher. I grew up in a family of teachers. My mom, her best friend, my uncle and aunt. I was kind of surrounded by teachers, and that was just kind of what I expected. So we're all going to laugh because it took me till sentence 3 to get to Canada. So in Canada, you need normally it's sooner.
Okay, and we always have to talk about Canada.
I know.
It didn't take you that long.
No,
it didn't. I know.
We'll have the flag next
time. Yeah, Will Arnett from Smartlist would be so proud of me right now. So growing up in Canada, you have to have a second university degree to be a classroom teacher. So I was doing my BFA, my fine art degree. I have an art history degree. And I just I couldn't stomach the idea of more school. And it was the mid 90s, and the tech industry was kind of on fire. And especially where we happened to live at the time in Canada. And I was like, Matt was like, my husband was like, why don't you just take a break? Take a break, do something else, work in tech. And it's kind of hilarious that anybody hired me in tech, because I would literally have to call Matt and be like, how do I send an email attachment?
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous,
Okay,
right?
what kind of email app were you using, or mail app at the time?
Group was. I'm pretty sure it was installed on Commodore 64s in the basement, but
I don't even know what you just said. And then we're fine.
I couldn't send an email attachment.
Commodore
So I started in tech. I was a tech writer, and then kind of very quickly made a pivot into product management. And I worked for a graphic software company, which kind of merged my fine art degree and this sort of accidental tech career that I had. But I got kind of to this point, like after, in 2001, 2002, the tech industry was in pretty bad shape, right?
The dot-com
you would have
bubble
lived through the
burst,
same
yep.
era. Yeah, the bubble burst, and it was not fun anymore. And so I made the decision to leave my very, stable, well-paying tech job and go back to school. And just as I was in the process of doing that, I met the infamous Linda of lynda.com. One of our biz dev guys had actually put a deal together with her for her to do some online training for the product that I managed at the time. It was called Painter. So I ended up going to Ojai, California, which is where lynda.com was based at the time, and recording with Linda, and we totally hit it off. And I confided in her that I was going to be leaving to go back to school and get my teaching degree. And she was like, well, I need someone to update our next Photoshop book. I have all this video content that needs to be updated. Like, do you want some contract work when you're in school? And I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So I wrote my first book that summer before I started school. I did school. I got pregnant with our son. I had our son, and then finished teachers college. My Bachelor of Education, teachers college is what we call it in Canada. And then I had this choice: like, do I take my teaching degree and go teach 8th grade art, which was kind of what my new path was going to be, or do I join this really teeny tiny company called lynda.com that is at this point it's 2005. And we were doing video content online as a subscription service,
Which is revolutionary at the time,
right?
right?
There's no YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
I remember actually it was like not long that we had been working on it that like the iPod with the video came out,
Yeah,
and then
that
we
was
could
huge.
like,
That was like-
it was like a big deal, So we were sort of like inventing this whole like putting video content online, and certainly like educational video content online. It was kind of a big thing. So that's what I did. I chose to take my teaching degree and join lynda.com. Eventually, I moved to California. In 2007, we moved our family to California so I could work on site at lynda.com. And I led the production team for many, many years, which is how I met, our two amazing ladies that are here doing that, are behind the scenes directing and setting us all up for success. I led the production team and our content strategy team. And then eventually in 2015, LinkedIn decided that they wanted to buy lynda.com. Yep. And so I joined as part of the acquisition and stayed at LinkedIn on the lynda.com, what became the LinkedIn Learning business, until 2020. And then I had the brilliant idea in 2019 that it would be a great idea to go lead trust and safety.
Which is like totally polar opposite, right? And Allison, are you like a master in this field?
Yeah, exactly. And when I agreed to take that role,
the library.
Oh my gosh, remember the Linda Library situation?
Yeah, I think that was the connector because you excelled so well.
Yeah,
with that.
hand me a crisis, and So in late 2019, my boss at the time, Ryan, who's now the CEO of LinkedIn, we agreed that I would transition into leading trust and safety. And then I didn't transition that role until April of 2020. And the job I thought I was getting and the job I actually got were pretty freaking different. So I led that for 2 years. Super interesting. Some of the most intellectually challenging work I've done since like the early lynda.com days, but it was a lot. Mm-hmm. And, in 2022, our son was graduating from high school. My husband had pivoted to more of a flexible consulting situation when Eric started high school. We made the decision that we wanted one of us to be home a little bit more when he was in high school, because that's really, as a parent, like, you're into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, as we like to call it, right?
True. And they need you more than ever. And it's like, I was thinking like, oh, they're babies, nurture them. That's the most, it has to be like a second paternity or maternity leave in like the high school years. It's insane.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You need to be present.
Yes, 100%. So it was just kind of becoming clear that with Eric graduating from high school, Matt having a very flexible situation, that me working 18 hours a day at LinkedIn wasn't going to work anymore. And I didn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and so I made the decision to, I called it semi-retire from LinkedIn in May of 2022. And then I took some time to do what I like to call defrosting.
I like that.
And did very little. I did very little.
Am I pitching you like a snow little bunny or
Well, so the ironic thing is,
snow woman that's just like
I also
melting?
developed this ridiculous shoulder situation called frozen shoulder. So I was literally
She lands really
defrosting, like emotionally, intellectually, physically. I was defrosting like for this period, and then eventually in 2024, Vida and I made the decision to purchase Ace Camps Travel, which we'll come to in a second.
So there's so much connection in this room, right? Like we're all connected in weird different ways. And we've talked about that connection there. And there's clearly a big connection here. But I want to hear kind of your journey too of your career. And then how did you two cross paths?
Yeah. Oddly enough, I also started in education. So when I was in college, I just felt like the world sort of opened up, right? Like you sort of learn new things and see new things coming from a family that didn't go to college. So I'm the first person in my family to graduate from.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
me too.
thank
High five.
you.
Up
Yeah.
there.
So like you see these things that you're like, oh, I didn't know this stuff existed. And so I just felt like, oh, okay, this is obviously like the pathway to changing my life, education. But then you realize the biggest indicator for somebody graduating from high school or college is if their parents did. Like even if you hold economic status constant, that's the biggest thing that makes it easier. So when somebody graduates when nobody else has, then it means everybody else down their line has way greater chances of doing that. So for me, that was really exciting and inspiring. And so I thought, I want to go into education so that I can help other people get over that hurdle to then like change their family tree. So I did. I worked in education and higher ed for over a decade. And it was really wonderful and fulfilling. And then it got like a big slog. And higher ed
Define slog.
Yeah.
Like,
higher ed just has a lot of bureaucracy to it.
Okay.
And so depending on where you're at, like change can be really, really slow. And when you get in these big institutions where it's like, well, this is how we do it, like
That's
the
how
very
we've always
like,
done it.
yes, like ivory tower academic situation where you're like, this is like what's happening out here in the real world, and it's moving like this,
Right,
and
yeah.
we're really slow. Like I remember, obviously, like way before COVID and things, but I was like, we have all these paper forms. Everybody over here just uses like a PDF. We could just do that. Or I was an advisor for a while, so why don't we offer to meet our students at that time? Like Skype was the thing that you would use.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone was like, no, we could never. Like that's horrible. And I'm like, it's fine. I was dealing with international students. They don't even live here. We have all these problems because they can't do anything until they get here. Why don't I'll make a video. I'll tell them how to register with the video.
Oh, it sounds freaking brilliant,
Yeah.
Fina.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yes. And so,
So new age.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did that and it was fine, but it was like I was really feeling very stuck,
Yeah.
not being able to move forward. So I had friends that were like, oh, we work at Linda. We've got this amazing person. He's looking for somebody on his team. Like you should come and really like check it out. So I did. It was Linda. And for me, it was the first time working in a for-profit company because I had been in education, in higher ed for forever. It was all nonprofit or not for profit. So I went and it was a good bridge for me because Linda was still about education. They were still about opening doors for people in a really different way that I was like, I can really get behind this. So I did. I worked at Linda. That's where I met Tanya. I was on the content team before that was part of her purview. And then I moved over to work with Tanya on the content team. And I was there for a long time. And in my education time and during that time with content, I also really wanted to focus on how we can support like marginalized groups. So when I worked in education, I was always at different schools starting like the Hispanic Success Committee or like the Black Student Success Committee or different places where we could really look at certain groups that weren't able to move along as far and how could we help them? So I tried to do that as well while I was at Linda on the content team in different ways, different aspects. And as I stayed longer, one of my bosses was like, you do this all the time. Like you're the first one to say like, yes, I'll do that, or like bring a new idea. You should think about doing this all the time. And I was like, well, yeah, I would love to do that all the time. But I'm not quite ready to like go and work for a nonprofit. Like that's where I think you can make a lot of impact, but I'm not ready to leave LinkedIn. And he was like, well, let's see if we can find a way for you to do both things, or like how we can really facilitate that. So I started, I guess I say volunteering. Feels weird, like inside of the company. But so I was a really big part of the women's employee resource group. I eventually co-led that as well, which is not only the way I'm connected to Elizabeth, but part of it. We met doing our other LinkedIn things. But then I switched. And so there was a role at LinkedIn that was focused on equity and not our internal equity, but externally. Like LinkedIn is so large and has such ability to change the world, really. So what can we do to put more equity into the world? And I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. So I was on the equity team for a while.
So that was your full-time role. Like you switched over. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. Wow.
Yeah, it came to fruition.
That is so fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah. To think about, how do we look at marginalized groups in a way that like affects their jobs, what the jobs they can get, who's looking at them, how they get hired, and how can we make that better? I mean, yes, right? Like that seems amazing. And do that not just in one little space, but LinkedIn reaches so many places.
Yeah,
So-
you have impact and you can have it larger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while. And it was really exciting and really difficult. I mean, that's not a small task to undertake.
Still a work in
Thinking a
progress.
lot.
Just saying.
Exactly, always. And then eventually, my husband and I had always talked about quitting our jobs to travel the world. And we were like, oh, maybe now, but well, maybe later, maybe now, maybe later, right? It's like a very large thing, especially when you are kind of like in your not prime of job, but like we're in a good spot, right?
You're
Like
doing good. You're succeeding. You're solid. You're making money. Everything's
we've made
fantastic.
traction. You're like finally getting there. It's sort of always like the next promotion is like, it's going to be coming. It's going to happen.
You're always
like,
chasing something.
yes, exactly. And then my husband hurt his back. He was doing like jujitsu, and I don't know. Basically, I'm gonna say it. It sounds like dumb. I was like, he was rolling with this like big guy.
I
know.
Is that a true statement?
That's
or
exactly
like,
the
okay.
term
It
for
is. It just- it
jujitsu. I was
sounds-
rolling.
It sounds dumb if I say it. I don't know about jujitsu, but he was doing the jujitsu thing with this larger guy, and I think he hurt something in his back. And it progressed really a lot.
Yeah.
So he was doing, shots and things, and eventually he couldn't walk for more than like 30 seconds.
Wow.
He couldn't stand to take a shower. Like it was really bad. He had to have surgery, and he was really worried. What if I can't ever walk again? Like what if I can't? What if I lose my mobility? So he didn't. He had a surgery. He healed. He was great, but he was like, we can't wait anymore. Like this idea of we'll wait until some other later time, or maybe like this will be amazing when we retire. Like we are just not guaranteed those things, and now is the time.
Wow.
So we did. So
Eye-opening moment.
yeah,
It's nothing like real, like life hit you in the middle of what you're doing. But like this is the time.
Yeah.
Gives you a reason.
So did you just jump with him? You're like, all right, let's go.
You made him be your reason of like getting rolled over by another guy.
Yeah.
Did you plant this?
big people should
We should
do
thank
it more
that guy.
often.
Send that guy.
You
Thank
paid that
that guy
guy.
for basket.
You. You changed everything.
So yeah, we my husband worked at Slack.
Okay.
So we quit and packed up all of our belongings and put it in storage, rented at our house.
Wow.
And said goodbye to everybody and rolled away with like one good size like carry-on suitcase each, and then took off to travel around the world for a year.
You didn't check a bag?
That's like I don't know if I could just do one roll away and go whole country.
Okay, well, first of all, Vita's clothes are like half the size of everyone else's.
Okay, fair.
So
that
logistics.
helps.
I'm just saying, like,
But
when
you see how she packed that suitcase.
oh, she was sitting on it and squishing it.
No.
There was a science to everything
Rolling
rolled up.
Rolling is a way to make more space.
Did you do the vacuum seal?
I didn't
bags
because
and
it
stuff?
makes things wonky, and like it's not easy the number
Undo?
of times I unpacked and repacked
Oh, good point.
in a year of taking your stuff is a lot. So we made do. I make it sound like it was great. My husband will be like, yeah, but who carried all your liquids? So he did carry some of my liquids. And then I did have special friends along the way who like we would meet up with, and sometimes I would get like a special stash.
Oh, you get
Yeah, well, when you're wearing like the same one, you're one of 3 T-shirts for 6 months, and somebody brings you something with sequins, you're like,
Oh, you didn't
Tanya
pack.
knows my heart.
Like, you should have packed sequins from the beginning.
So these were care packages that you'd mail to wherever she was, or did you meet
so
her?
We met up a few times when they were
Okay.
traveling. So they left in May of 23 and started in Central and then South America. And then in early October, we met up in Europe. And so Vida and I actually met in Brussels and had like a little girls' weekend. And then we met Matt and Zach in Spain. And so I just knew that she like was putting on a really good face with her plain black t-shirts.
Would
And-
you see these horrible
course,
pictures
like-
of her sad?
you know, if you're only listening to this, you'll appreciate that. Like, I'm wearing black and olive green, and
Yeah.
Vita's wearing pink, orange, and like,
Blue.
Oh,
you're
much
just-
prettier
you're
colors
so
and
great.
so
It's like
good.
Vida to a
Leopard
T.
and yeah.
So I just knew that like it was probably,
Emotional roller coaster for
She
you. I'm
needed
so
that
sorry,
to
Vida.
get her through.
yeah. So we get to Brussels and we get to our hotel room and I'm like, I might have something for you.
And I was like, oh, sparkles.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah. But so it was on that trip that my husband and I both got to do so much reflection and introspection. When it is an amazing privilege to not have a time where you don't have to work and not have to be looking for a job. So like we weren't looking for jobs. We were like, this is it. And then we didn't have a home to take care of. We didn't have errands to run. All we had to do was feed ourselves and make sure our clothes were washed.
Yeah.
So the extra headspace was tremendous. And so my husband really wrote. He's a poet, so he really like got into his poetry that he hadn't done in so long because he's an engineer, so he's been coding for so long. But I really was like, I've got this one beautiful life. Like, how am I going to live it? Because when you are just doing your day-to-day life, you get so caught up in like, work, whatever. Like
It's the treadmill.
food,
You just
laundry,
continue on that
blah,
same path.
over and over again.
Yeah.
And so let me take a moment to think about, what do I want my life to be like? I'm getting this break that other people either don't ever get or don't get to have until they're fully retired, and I'm doing it earlier. So let me think about this next section of my life and what do I really want that to look like? Am I going to go back to the same kind of job I had before, back to tech, where there can be tremendous good, but also lots of other drawbacks that I don't quite love? And so that's when Tanya and I were talking, and we had kind of always been like, oh, we should do something. And as Tanya had her time off, she had been really thinking about like, what does she want to do?
She defrosted a little
I
bit.
defrosted.
She was fully defrosted. I was still like, tinkering. And so that's kind of when our two, thought processes came together to solidify on, oh, this is what we should do. This is actually the right time. This, like, everything is lining up. Like, let's go for it.
Sounds like you're redefining success on your own terms, which is what we're all
It might be our
about
tagline.
over
We're just
here.
pushing you got your Canada agenda. We got our Canada agenda.
We will insert that into the conversation.
Yes, all
As
right.
you should.
And you
So-
can repeat it.
Like you met up through this phase where you're both discovering what do I really want out of life and do next. But to backtrack a minute, I want to touch on, you're both part of the content team. What roles did you play and how did those overlapping become the partnership that evolved into what is today? What did you do? What was your role on the content team?
So before Tanya, I worked for somebody else, Michael Ninnis. I was his EA. And then several other things. And then eventually I was Tanya's EA to start with. And then
Executive assistant for
Yes.
anybody who doesn't
Thank
know
you.
who's listening.
And then her program manager, and I sort of was still in the content team and not reporting directly to her. But it allowed us to be quite close.
Oh, you have to. You know
Yes.
everything
Yes.
about her life and
Yes.
your life together combined. It's
And
very,
we
very
did that
close.
at Linda, and then through the acquisition to LinkedIn, which is a really like tumultuous, stressful, sort of chaotic time. And then through the transition. So in that time, we just got to know each other really well, how we worked together. And I think we just sort of also just became friends.
Yeah, it's like such a synergy because we have gone through the same thing. And actually, what I find beautiful about this conversation right now is it's the same thing where I was her EA and then she helped develop me into her program manager. So I got to partner super closely. And I believe you were the one who was like, hey, you should reach out to Vida. She and Tanya have the same type of relationship. She could probably help you. So I've had multiple conversations with you. And then come full circle, like I ended up leading Women at LinkedIn, the ERG, and you had formerly done that. So you were sort of a sounding board for me, asking advice, like, how do you manage such a big thing with all this pressure? And so like there's so much synergy here in this room. It feels so good.
I mean, we've all uplifted each other. I mean, I even think like I came in and it's like, oh, Erica, you're going to lead the engineering team for Linda, now LinkedIn Learning. You got to go migrate all this content onto the feed. And it's like, here you are walking into this situation. And I remember like, ooh, who's Tanya? She runs the show, you know? But we've all had these different experiences where it's like, I was able to lean on you, you were able to lean on her. And then there's this magical thing, who knows, maybe we're going to start something else together. But it's just, that's how you grow, is like someone actually investing in you. And I remember meeting you also for the first time of like, how does a system even run? I don't know anything about online learning, zero, and went straight over to Carpinteria to just understand how things run. And actually this whole setup is actually your fault of that.
Your fault, my boss.
And how it started. No, because we created a series called Leadership and Tech, and we worked on together. And then I wanted to understand the process. And so then we started creating videos together, interviewed you, and understood what production meant. And then all these relationships are kind of like where we are today. It's just another reminder, you know, when you all kind of help each other, and then you never know what's going to be the output like this.
Yeah, we have to totally lift each other up. And I mean, it's interesting, like just sometimes how the universe throws things out at you, right? Like, I had an amazing EA before Vida. Her name is Catlin. Vida actually hired Catlin. And Catlin was ready to be a producer, and I was trying to find an opening for her. The person that Vida had been working with had left the company, and I was like, okay, let's rearrange these. Like, let's do this. Like, let's figure this out. So I had to go negotiate with our CFO to basically, okay, I'll give up this if you let me move this, and then I'm taking Vida. And it was like late 2014 when that happened. And what, of course, I did not realize at the time is that 4 months later, LinkedIn would come knocking on our door and want to acquire us. And so, we basically lived in San Francisco together for God knows how long to work on the details of the acquisition. And, and it was a hard transition in many respects. So it really kind of threw us together. But I think like those moments, like the universe serves up for you of like, Vida came into my world, I would say, like at the moment I also needed it the most. I was going through a pretty difficult time actually at lynda.com, which we don't need to get into, but Vida was there for me, probably saw me at my worst and lifted me up through that, and then we just had the intensity of the acquisition and 10,000 things that needed to get done, and we just rolled with it.
So that's someone you want in your corner. Forever.
Exactly.
And it's when you go through those really challenging times and you're like pushing to the limit, and then it's like that's how you kind of like understand each other too. It's like, this is how you work under pressure, or this is how you work when things are easy, but it's under the pressure where you see the true version of everybody. And so then you get together and you're like, hey, let's start a company, which is exactly what you did.
Or obviously that's the next step.
Yeah, you're like, I know how you work, and then you build that trust, right? And it's like, we're sitting here together doing something together. You're sitting there. It's because you built that trust and you know how people are working closely. Yeah, the capabilities and resilience and all that. I mean, that's a big step to decide to do that.
And we also spend like a lot of our days with the people we work with.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been really fortunate in my career in that I've had many, 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 many moments of having great people that, you know, I've worked with, like our, you know, leadership team on LinkedIn Learning,
amazing.
you and me and Emily and Mike and Hari, like we were a great team. We, you know, gelled really well. It was awesome. And, you know, and I've had some moments where, you know, for example, I've had other engineering partners that I just didn't enjoy working with.
No.
And didn't share my leadership values or didn't share, you know, any of that. And it's exhausting because you're spending all freaking day with these folks.
Yeah.
Right?
And you need to have those vulnerable conversations. There's plenty of times I've cried and I was like,
No.
I was like, Tanya, I just walked out of that meeting, like that membership value meeting, whatever. I'm so glad I'm not doing those anymore. Anyways, that's just for us.
Absolutely.
But like I didn't show up the way I wanted. I didn't feel and I was like, who am I going to tell that was in that meeting to see how I felt? I'm like, Tanya, where are you? She's in Carpentria. Get on that Zoom call, you know? And I remember in a conference, I'm like spilling my guts. I'm like, I didn't show up the way. And she's like, well, I didn't really say much either. But you have this low, like you said, your lowest moments. And I remember calling you and I was like, and then you just gave me a good coaching moment. You're like, you showed up perfectly. I think you're all in your head. And then what did you say to me?
I said, chin up, tits out.
Yeah.
I got this.
I won't do that because I'll knock the mic over, but
So I was like, that's all I needed in that moment. And I came walking out of that conference room and I was like, I got this.
with your chin up.
So thank you for that. But it was like those moments that it could be that a saying like that, which is amazing. And she also got me a card for it and made a quilt that matches it. It was awesome. No, not tits. Don't give me the quilt.
Oh, whoa.
A quilt that goes with the card of what that saying was. Let me clarify. But
That's amazing.
I am just so grateful. And that's where you can have those real relationships and be your true self and lean on each other. And just like they pull you up. I mean, there's so many times I've called Elizabeth and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm tired. You know?
Yeah, and even right now, like I've been hitting some weird lows with my mental health.
Yeah, she was
lately,
really low a
and,
couple of days ago.
and I don't know what is the fuck is going on, right? And she's just like, hey, you're fine. Get out of your head. We got this. And I'm like, okay, like I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not showing up enough, right? And there's those moments where you're not going to be your 100%, right? And the other person's going to pick up that other percent that you're missing, right? And keep it moving forward. And those are the moments where you know you've picked the right person
to partner with.
to kind of guide you through the hard times. Like you said, you were at your lowest low and she was partnered with you at the perfect time and you probably didn't know you needed that.
Exactly.
When I feel like at that moment I was done being an EA. I didn't want to be an EA anymore. I wanted to grow and I just felt like I have more to give and nobody's giving me a chance to give it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I had worked for somebody and they were like, you're amazing. Like, just give me like a year. I need you for a year. And then I know you can do this other thing. We'll put you in this other role. And I'm like, okay, fine. But then that person left and I was like, oh my gosh. So now I have to start all over again. Cause the new person was like, well, I'm just coming in. Can you just like give me a year? Like help me get like my budget in order. Help me get this. And I was like, I don't have a choice. Okay, yes. Like I will do this. And then that person left. And so then I came to Tanya and I'm just like, if one more person, like I have more to give.
Right.
And Tanya was like, yeah, go do that thing. You know, like, sure. And then when the acquisition happened, Tanya didn't keep me, I don't know, like scheduling her meetings or whatever. She was like, let's go. And you go do that. And yes, you can do that. And you've never done that before. It's fine. Like, I trust you to go do that. And I love that. And so I reinvented myself over and over. Like, I don't know how to build sound stages or video producing things. Like, I don't know. But yeah, cool. I'll learn that. And Tanya was like, yes, I got your back. Like, go for it. So
Empowered you.
yeah, she gave me like the room to grow and the belief in that. So like we both, I think, gave each other the things that we needed and were really helpful.
Yeah. We did the same. Like she empowered me to get into program management the same as you. It's like day 4 of employment. She's like, where do you want to be next? I'm well, I just got here. If I could keep my job, that'd be great, you know? But then she's like continuously finding ways to put me in positions that are uncomfortable, places to grow. I've never done that before. And she gives you the space and the grace to fail and learn from it and then come back better, right? And that's what we need. We need partners like that, supporters, uplifters, I don't know. I'm just
We need more women groups and
resonating
women
so well.
company run companies.
absolutely, we do.
For sure.
who around the world?
Girls, girl. Okay, she's gonna sing. She wants to sing.
Sorry. I always try to insert. Okay, I'll stop.
No, it's good. It's good. So lead us to where you are now and what you're building and creating and what's, the origin of ACE camps, and just walk us through that, because we want to know, first of all, when we're going on a trip and you're going to be there. So
exactly.
yeah,
When are you all coming?
I love that.
We have it earmarked. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Details.
So I guess I had sort of been like into my defrosting era. It had been a little bit over a year since I'd left LinkedIn, and I think I was starting to get like my groove back in terms of like, for a while I was like, am I ever going to want to do anything again? Like I just felt like I had like no motivation. It was like the weirdest thing. Like for me that like, I've been working like a crazy person for so long and so driven that I just had like, I was like reading like 5 books a week of like, the silliest like romance fiction, because I was like, I don't know, like I was just like, I'm like, what has happened? Now, granted, some of that was because of my shoulder injury and I was a little bit immobile for a while, but I kept kind of like waiting for this spark.
It felt out of character for you?
It felt totally out of character. And then some of the spark came, started to come back, like I guess like mid 2023, which was when Vida had left LinkedIn and her and Zach had started to travel, and we met up for a while in October of 23, and we're sort of both like, okay, we're in a like, what does it all mean phase? Like, where would we go? What would this look like? Blah, 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 blah. And then I remember we were catching up over like FaceTime, and you were in, where were you? Vietnam or Laos, I think. And I was in Spain. And Vida was like, wait, you should tell this part of the story, because you were in Laos.
Oh, so we were traveling around, and I was in Laos, and Tanya said, "Oh, when you're there, you should go to this place." She had been there on an ACE camps trip, and she's like, "You'll love it. Go to this thing." So I was like, "All right, cool." So I went, and you're outside in this like giant like thatched roof hut kind of thing, but it's huge, and there's these giant floor looms. So there's big floor looms. So there's a bunch of them, and then you go. And so I signed up for 2 half-day classes. So one was on silk weaving, and the other one was on Hmong embroidery. And so you go, and they tour you around the place. So you see like the spinning and like the silk cocoons and how they sort of extract all that, and then the ladies who are spinning the silk into thread, and then you get to weave. And so the way they do it is they have a woman from the village who speaks no English, but she is an expert weaver, and they have a translator there for you. So then she is teaching you how to weave on the big pedal looms. So you're like, with your feet, you're switching the pedals, and like everything is going up and down.
It sounds like a workout.
It was, it was awesome. And so I'm sitting there, and like the only way I can describe it is like I felt like I was flying, because you take the shuttle and you swoosh it back and forth. So I'm there, and I'm swooshing the shuttle back and forth. I'm weaving like this cool magenta and yellow naga from like all that has all this symbolism, and you're overlooking the Mekong River. It's beautiful. And when you're like in the flow, right? You're just doing a thing that you're like, I didn't even know about this, and I am loving it. This is really, really exciting. And you have lunch there. And so as I'm reading the stuff about how they run the company, I'm realizing they really focus on protecting, empowering, paying the women from the villages. So they don't just have these looms here for people like me to come and take classes. They have a whole other room of looms for people from the village who can come and use the looms, create things, and then they sell those things in the store at a fair price. So they're really like doing this very wonderful thing for their community, but it's also benefiting people like me. And you can have lunch there. So I'm having lunch there. I'm like eating my amazing meal in Laos, overlooking the river. And there's 2 long tables full of women. And they're all, you can tell, like they are together, but they don't know each other. And they're just chit-chatting and laughing, and they're taking pictures, and they're just having a really good time. And it was like their joy and energy off each other was palpable. It was visible. that they were just having this wonderful time, and they're having this great time in this really cool place, and I'm feeling the same way. And so Tanya and I had really been talking about what do we want to do, and we knew it would be something creative because we both like making and creating, and we wanted to have that in our lives as a big part of it. And so I called her and was like, I was in Laos, and I was like, I know what I want to do. Like, we've been thinking about it. Like, is it this? Is it that? And Tanya had said, well, I have some ideas, but I want to make sure something you really want to do. And at the time I was like, what I do is less important. Who I do it with really matters.
Yeah,
And so I'm kind of willing to like go with you on a strong idea because we will do it together. And that is what means more to me. But then I was like, no, I know like what I think would be amazing. I want to like take groups of people and learn from like the local people and like show people like, travel and like, maybe it has to do with art, but it's like women and, whatever. I'm sort of like jumbling these things together. And immediately she's like, first of all, I know exactly what you're talking about. And second, she's like, yeah, and I know who already does that really well. Yeah. And it's Ace Camps Travel. And so
because you've been going on these trips for a long time then. So then that's what she recommended that for you to check it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Because she had gone.
This was pre you to
Exactly.
becoming
Exactly.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's when, she was like, well, I know Angela and I've worked with her and talked with her and I've already established this thing. So that's kind of like where Tanya's part of the story really kicks in.
Yeah. And who's Angela?
Yeah. So Ace Camps Travel, which Vida and I now co-own, was founded in 2009 by an absolutely incredible woman named Angela Ritchie. And Angela had a, really incredible career, but when she started Ace Camps, it was because she sort of recognized in the travel industry that there was a gap of how do we bring small groups together. I think her original intention was primarily women, although we don't 100% only target women with Ace Camps. We want to be inclusive, and it doesn't need to be strictly women, even though that tends to be, the demographic of who usually comes on a trip. But how do I bring together like-minded individuals around culture, around creativity, around learning? Ace Camps Travel is actually an acronym that stands for Adventure, Culture, and Education.
Oh, didn't know that.
And that was really what Angela, wanted to do, because she was like, enough with the hold the rope tours and going to the Eiffel Tower. Like, let's go and actually experience things in a small group, but let's build community and connection while we do it. So she started Ace Camps Travel in 2009, and really like no one else was doing this at the time. And, if you look at a lot of the other companies that exist, many of them are people who actually came on Ace Camps and spun, their own things. Like, what is that expression? Like,
Copy it and
you copy is the best form of flattery.
Flattery, yeah.
Right.
There you
So
go.
there's lots of companies that do something similar, but in different verticals. Right.
Yeah.
So she really sort of created this thing early on. So I learned about Ace Camps Travel, I think it was 2010, I think. I went to this retreat in New Hampshire called Squam Art Workshops, which is kind of like going to summer camp. It's a completely different model. This wonderful woman, Elizabeth, runs it. And she runs out this huge camp on a lake. And it's like 300 or 400 people. You're in cabins. You take all these different classes. So I had done a couple of those. And this woman, Flora Bally, who I took a number of classes with, she's an incredible painter. She was like, oh, you should look at Angela Ritchie's Ace Camps. She does these really cool trips. So I started following it, and what it's like being in tech. Okay, well, when am I going to have 2
that
weeks
much
to go to
time.
India? When am
Yeah.
I going to have 2 weeks to go to wherever?
Yeah.
And so I had actually originally planned to leave LinkedIn in May of 2018. And I had a whole
wow.
plan. I had a retirement calculator on my desk.
She had these stickies that I would go in and be like, oh, well, that date passed. This one didn't.
Exactly.
I guess we're still here.
So my original plan was actually to leave LinkedIn in May of 2018. And then in the fall of 2017, there was this huge fire that hit Ventura County, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, so I chose to stay. That's irrelevant to this story. I don't even know why I'm getting into this. But anyway, I had decided to leave LinkedIn, and so I had booked this trip to Laos. And so then I decided to stay, and I was like, well, I'm going to fucking still go to Laos.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
remember I took that like 3-week leave.
Yeah, I know. I was like, how do you
in
just take 3
2018?
weeks? And I was getting to know you. I'm like, how do you do that? I
I know.
want to do what you're
and
doing.
it was, I sort of had to like negotiate that with, I guess it would have been Ryan at the time, of like, I'm going to take this trip. And, of course, Ryan is amazing. So he was totally supportive. So I did my very first ACE camp to Laos in 2018. And I went with my really close friend, Jody. And I was expecting it was just going to be like people coming together. Well, it turned out like in our group of 12, Jody and I were the only two that knew each other. It was all women solo travelers.
Wow.
How
And
cool.
yeah, and it was like, it was funny, like Vita saying the experience of flying. Like, I remember like being in the tuk-tuk going from our hotel to where we were doing our workshops. And I just like, I felt this like release of like, oh my gosh, like I finally for the first time in like a really long time just sort of feel like fully free and fully relaxed. And it was because this trip was just, it was incredible. Like it was a 10-day trip. We spent time doing exactly what Vita described, like on these looms overlooking the Mekong River. The food is amazing and this amazing group of women. And I was very fortunate that Angela actually was on that trip with us. So I got to meet her and spend time with her, as well as Jessica, who's part of our team now at Ace Camps Travel, our small but mighty team of 3.
Go team.
And so I got to know Angela and we, became friendly. And then I did another ACE camp in 2022 in Nova Scotia, just after I'd left LinkedIn. And it was a really fun trip, but it was in rural Nova Scotia. And, we had this like big house that we rented. And, our meals were all catered and, we had to like clean up the dishes and all this kind of stuff. And no one was helping Angela. And so I ended up like just helping her with a whole bunch of stuff on that trip. It was super fun. So we became quite, friendly on that trip. Talked a little bit about, because I had just left LinkedIn, like, could I be helpful? Like, was there places I could help in the business? And we had some good conversations. And then I kind of didn't hear from her for a while. And then unfortunately, I sort of ended up hearing from her directly that she had been diagnosed with cancer. That was early 2023. And she was incredibly private. I'm sure she's probably like slightly rolling over in her grave right now that I'm even talking about this. But, through 2023, I could kind of see that, just on the outside looking in, like it looked like, there was lots of trips and then there weren't so many trips. And I have a friend that does some work in the business too. And she was sort of observing the same things. And I'd sort of always had this idea of like, gosh, that'd be a really fun business to run someday. Like I always loved the idea of like running a business and leading a business. But Vita and I were talking about this on the drive up. Like, I think there are founders and there are second founders. And I think I am a second founder. Like I do better with there's an existing product market fit and it just needs to be taken to the next level. That's kind of, Lynda.com. That's kind of how it was for me. And I think that's when I like feel the most comfortable. So anyway, Vita and I have this conversation. She's like, here's what I want to do. And I had sort of been for a while mulling in my head, like, I wonder if Angela would ever sell that business. But that's like a weird thing to do. Like,
You're like,
hey, hi, would you like to sell your business? It's like asking someone if they want to give their baby up for adoption, right?
It's like knocking on the door.
Yeah,
Do you want to sell
it's
your
like
house to me?
really, really weird.
You might need to be a little patient, Tanya.
Yeah. And so, but because I sort of knew a little bit about, her circumstances, and I guess like my gut just told me, like, I could tell things were not good. And so when Vita was like, this is kind of what I want to do. And I was like, you know what? I need to just put my big girl pants on and email Angela and ask her if she would ever be willing to sell that business. Because that would be kind of the dream, is to just take a business that's doing what we want and be able to sort of like not have to start from scratch. Right. So we have this conversation and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I spent longer than I think I've ever spent writing an email. Because it's just like,
Did you use any AI features or was this all your creative?
No,
there was no chat.
No chat.
No, you have to be sensitive too, because
I'm not getting involved.
So you want to get the wording just right.
Right.
And it could go 50-50 too, because it could be like, oh, you like, how dare you
Exactly.
versus like, actually, this might
Thank
be my
goodness.
legacy and you can take it forward. And
Right.
she appreciated the relationship. Like 50-50 chance. What's going to
Exactly.
happen?
Yeah, I had no clue like how she'd react. So, you know,
Did she proofread your email? I'm just curious. Did you collab on it, or did you
I
just
don't think so.
spend
No,
some time
I don't
mulling
think
it
so.
over?
No,
'Cause
I
I
was
mean-
just like, yeah, send it.
Hit send.
well, because you know, she was in Vietnam, I was in Spain. We were on this like really weird time zone, so we would have like an hour of overlap a day to be able to like text each other. And so I did it and I hit send, and then it was kind of crickets for a few days. And I was like, okay, well, I've either completely offended her,
Yeah.
or you know, she's not interested, or whatever. And
she's
so after
busy.
like 4 or 5 days, like, and you know, Vita's asking me every day, did you hear anything? Did you hear anything? Did you hear anything? Did you hear anything?
I'm guessing
Did it really send? Did it really send?
Just double checking.
Exactly. So finally, I sort of like, you know, when you get to a point where you almost like put it out of your mind,
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, this is not meant to be. Like, I'm going to move on to the next thing. And then I got an email back, and I'll never forget. It was like the start of Angela's email was well. Oh, and I was like, oh, where does this go?
Okay, you offended.
Your
And then,
freaking
you know,
emotions
and then
apart.
the next part was like, you know, and buying the business is very bittersweet for me because of the relationship I had with Angela. She was like, I'm actively selling the business.
Oh.
I am too sick to be involved and be really any use. And I want this business to continue and go on.
Wow.
And I was like, okay.
Wow.
Thank goodness you sent
She
that
was
email.
already
Yeah.
working on this, trying to sell it.
So this was February of mid-February 2023. And she was very like transparent with me. She's like, listen, like, you know, I can only be online a few hours a week. It's really hard for me to be in front of a computer. Days are going to go by when you don't hear from me, but I absolutely am interested in seeing if we can make this work. So she had me talk to Jessica, which was her right hand in the business. It was the two of them in the business. And, you know, lots of conversations with Jessica, reviewing the financials, doing all the things that you do when you do due diligence on a company. It was good. Like, she really understood what she wanted. She had put a lot of thought into how she wanted the deal to work, which was good. And it aligned with how we wanted to do the deal. And so I was very fortunate that I kind of had a few weeks in March when she was in a really good spot to be able to talk through it and work through it. And then we wrote, you know, our letter of intent, and
Is that what you do next?
that's,
is that
letter
what
of intent.
Okay.
And we were literally like ready to sign it. And about a week before we were signing the letter of intent, her partner, Peter, kind of got involved because she was, you know, quite sick.
Yeah.
And we were like ready to sign the letter of intent. And unfortunately, she passed away. And it was much, much, much faster, I think, than anybody, you know, expected. And, you know, so then, you know, Peter and Vida and I worked through for the next couple months, like the details of making the transition. And so, yeah, it's, you know, for me, it's very bittersweet. Like, I am gutted that she is no longer here because she really did something incredible. And, you know, when she passed and we did this post on Instagram, like the comments were just like the impact that she had, and like the way that people have met, the relationships that people have formed, you know, on these trips has really, really, really special. So, yeah, we basically became co-owners of the business in June.
Wow.
And
Just this past.
here we are. Yeah, it's been 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And how's it going? How you feeling?
Good. Like,
Good.
You
Are you
can't,
tired?
you can't say me, but that's like dramatic. Like,
Yeah. Be honest. That's what we're here for.
no. It's, I mean, Tanya said like she doesn't think she's a founder, but she's a second founder. I had never envisioned myself being like an entrepreneur. Not that I don't think that entrepreneurial spirit was really like in my DNA to go it alone. And so doing it with somebody was a much better fit. But we're, you know, like, I don't know, I wasn't a business owner. I was a program
Now you
manager.
are.
Yeah. So, you know, so like I'm very good at certain things and I'm still good at those things in the business. And now it's like a lot of stretching where, awesome, well, we need someone to do marketing and social media, and someone's got to do the finances and the legal stuff and the whatever. And I think Tanya and I both are like, well, all right, like, I guess I'm learning
Roll up our
marketing
sleeves.
and you're going to be legal. And okay, like we'll both figure out this
Thank
stuff.
God you took on that.
She's
legal
got
role.
trust and safety figured out.
It paid off.
Exactly.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. So it's, we wear a lot of hats, and that is exciting and fulfilling, but it's also draining and tiring.
Yeah.
But it's passion. I mean, you love what you do. So it's a little bit different than if you are doing all this energy and this work for another company that you didn't have that sense of that. It's very different, right? It's
It is.
Yeah.
And like the things that we get excited about are really fun. So when we were like, oh my gosh, did you see this artist that we, like I've been following? We should talk to her and see if she wants to do an Ace Camps, and like, yeah, and oh my goodness, she does. And then we get really excited about this incredible artist that we've seen, or this place that we want to go, right? Like, yes, this is an amazing place. Oh, I bet you we could do a trip there. Yeah, we should go here and here. And so like those kinds of things are really fun.
And
How
building
exciting.
out new trips. You probably have the legacy trips that will still be, and then new and exciting adventures for continuing participants to join. That's
when we took over the business in June, basically the trips for the rest of the year were already planned. So
How many trips is that? Like, give us.
there was 12 from, and they were all between September 23rd and December 6th. So it was like 12 trips, like
In that short period
in
of
that
time?
super short period
And you
of
don't
time.
go to all of them, or you have leads?
No,
or
we have amazing hosts that, go with our guests on our trip. But Vida and I we both went to,
Puglia.
we went to Puglia and Jaipur, and then you went to Oaxaca. And so I think like, one, it was like great to see like those trips like go incredibly well, and have, I think, especially like the trip we did in Puglia, we chose to do that as guests versus like, business owners
I
essentially.
think that's smart, because then you understand what the experience is,
Exactly.
right? And what you need to
Exactly.
change, tweak, do. Right?
Exactly. Because I had been on 3. I'd been to Laos, I'd been to Nova Scotia, and then I'd been to another one in France. And, Vida had never been on one. So it was like, okay, let's go on one together.
Yeah.
Then we went on the Jaipur trip together and kind of co-led it as hosts. And then Vida went to Oaxaca to see how those trips operate, but then also do some research for this, I'll put in a little plug, Amazing Day of the Dead trip that she just launched.
What?
That's the one I want us to go on if you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Day
gotta
of the
talk
Dead.
about it.
Okay, that's the next question.
I'm
Is
so
like, what trips
excited.
do you have coming up? What towns are you going to be on? And what are you most excited about? Just a couple more questions. I mean, you're living the life. You're traveling. You're doing it all, and you're building and creating and innovating and entrepreneurs. And it's like fantastic.
I think it's really
titles,
exciting too, because right now in the travel world, solo travel is really big, and like women solo travel is really big. So women are spending more money, they're going more places, they are a really big part of the travel industry, but traditionally have been absent.
Probably unsafe. Like they feel maybe a safety issue. Has that been a thing too?
I think like part of it is a safety issue, although women are feeling, I think, stronger and more ready
Right.
to do that. But they're also just making their voice more known. Like, we want stuff for us. We
Right,
want things
right.
that are tailored towards what
That's
we want to
fantastic.
do,
Yeah.
that take us into account. And so I'm an introvert. I play an extrovert.
I was gonna
on
say,
Tuesday.
really?
I am. It's a job switch I can very easily turn on, but my battery is recharged quiet by myself. So the idea of I'm going to go do this thing that relaxes me, a vacation, with 11 other strangers, isn't necessarily the first thing that I would jump at. But going on my first Ace Camp trip to Puglia, and then all of a sudden I'm with all these women that I'm like, whoa, you are amazing and interesting. You are interesting. I would love to get, like, I would never come across you necessarily any other way. We have this common interest in a little bit of travel and in this art that we're creating. But now I get to meet all these people, and that is very energizing. And I still have my time to like go and decompress, and lots of people actually did as well. Like,
You could do that within the. You're constantly with somebody all the
plenty of
time.
people were like, see you guys later. Like, I'm going to go do my own thing.
Okay.
And I want to go swim, and like, I'm going to go wander around, and like, oh, the 3 of us are just going to go like grab a drink, down the way. But being with other people who are creative and interesting, but just like getting to know them was really wonderful. And I think that idea of women doing that more now and taking like some time for themselves and spending the financial dollars, but also like the emotional stuff that it takes to leave whatever is at home and do something on your own was really, really impressive to be a part of. And I think that's like a special thing that Ace Camps does really well.
I like to call it the me treat.
Ooh, I love
You know,
that.
it's this, and like for me, like I sort of discovered that about myself early on. Like I needed to, like I was working full time, I was married, I was a mom, I was an aunt. You know, you play all these roles, but you have to have an identity as yourself, right? And so for me, like the artistic things that I did, you know, including Ace Camps trips, I did other things as well. You know, the Makery, Squam, art workshops, like there was other similar type things that I had discovered along the way. That's what filled me up, right? That's what I needed for me to be like a better human. And the connections that we see like on these trips is just really incredible. Like we have a woman that is a host for us, and she went on a trip with us in 2014 to Jaipur and came home and started her own silk screening. And she makes like handmade bags, like with her own silk screen design, right? And it was like the Ace Camp is what was the catalyst for her to go in and do that. Her company is called Cloth and Print. She's based in Cape Town, South Africa.
Wow, I love Cape Town.
And you know, and we hear that like Ace Camps was the catalyst for me to go and do, you know, this, that, or the other thing. And then, you know, we have women that, to Vita's point, like solo travel for, you know, a whole variety of circumstances, right? I'm single. My partner doesn't want to travel. None of my friends are interested in things I'm interested in, and I want to go and paint for a week, or I want to go and block print for a week, whatever it is. And they just, you know, they solo travel, but then they meet each other. And like we have those two women that actually were on one of my trips in France. Whenever I see one of their registration comes in, I'm like, well, I might as well hold a spot for
the other
you
one.
know,
Because we know that friends come
because
along.
I know like it's just a matter of time when the other one registers because they traveled together.
That's so fantastic.
And then, you know, we were in Jaipur with an amazing group in October, and we have, you know, WhatsApp chats for, you know, all of our trips, and that one has been quite active, and 4 of them are going on a trip together. You know, they're solo travelers that are going to, you know, go this year because they've just built these really deep connections.
Okay, this is exciting.
Travel
we need
buddies.
it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I did when I took a career break is I went to travel and I traveled by myself, and I should have done this, and you weren't there at that time, but now you are.
You needed a me treat.
You needed a meat treat, and but that's how it was a catalyst for this. I mean, that you're so absolutely right, and we need that environment. We need that way to just like dream and just be ourselves. So I am just so thankful that you created this. I think the world is thankful, and so one of the things you took us on. So we can talk all the time. We're gonna hang out and we're
going to dinner right after this.
We're gonna have some. It's gonna be fun, and we'll go on a trip. We'll figure it out. But
We treats. We're going to do a we treat.
Yes, a we treat. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so one of the things that we like to end with at the end of the podcast is any women that you would like to uplift. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's tons, but you're gonna have to just like pick one or two because, you know,
Give a shout out, pay it forward.
Feel good.
Yeah.
I don't have a specific woman, but what I'm seeing a lot right now is women who have invested so much time and risk in doing art and doing their creativity and doing that online and trying to make a go of it. And it's not an easy pathway. And so when I think about like paying it forward, I think about the women that I've seen usually on Instagram, honestly, because that's sort of like what comes, and they're doing so much.
Yep.
And so like this push to honor that, I think really to like, you know, do more than just like scroll by, because people are putting their heart and their soul into this stuff. And I'm seeing people who are saying, I can't make it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this, I've been struggling, I've been working. And you know, it's not like a 9-to-5 job, right? They are working round the clock and they are doing all these things. And so I feel like when I think about paying it forward, I think about, you know, if you're going to buy something cool for your house, like check out somebody who's made something and it's their own work. There's so much great stuff. You can find a lot of yuck on Etsy, but you can find a lot of awesome things as well. You can find a lot of amazing stuff on Instagram, somebody who's made something. So I think like that's a really wonderful way to support somebody who does something great. And I think those women are just working hard.
I love it.
Vida does this amazing thing on Fridays on our Instagram called Weekly Wanderings, where we try to highlight women that are doing really interesting things with their art. You know, it might be textile related, it might be printmaking, it might be ceramics.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, like trying to, you know, get some awareness for women that are in the arts. I mean, for me, like, I think it's going to sound so odd, but like, I feel like I learned so much from my dance teacher growing up. I had her name was Janet Venn. She married a guy named Michael Jackson, so they became Janet and Michael Jackson.
Janet Jackson.
So funny. And it was like in the 80s, right? Like,
that's
you know,
so cool. Perfect timing.
it was so funny. But in hindsight, as I like really look at some of the things that shaped me, like she taught me how to produce. Like she would do this year-end dance show and I would sit fascinated. Like I'm watching Ash with her headphones because Jan would sit in, you know, behind the curtains, calling all the shots, cueing everything, right? Like I learned how to build a quality product from Jan. But she was also building her business. You know, she started teaching dance classes in the basement of, you know, the Polish Hall in this, you know, small city that I grew up in, and then took a leap and rented her own space and had, you know, a concrete floor, and we would hang our stuff on, you know, hooks on the wall. And then she built a dressing room, and then she built a second studio. And so like I watched her build this business. And I think when I think about paying it forward, I think about there's so many people in our lives, especially like women like Jan, that you don't even notice because she was like my dance teacher, right? Like shuffle ball change. That's what I should think about when I think about Jan. But when I really look back, I'm like, no. Her impact on me was so significant in terms of like watching a female leader build something and teach me how to build product and what quality meant and what building experience was. And I guess like I say that to like, look for the people that inspire you, like in the unexpected places, you know?
Oh, I love that.
That's beautiful. Well, you're doing it now, so we're all looking at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We're so thankful for you spending the time with us and telling your story, and we're here to support you. And we want your list of women that are doing crafts, and we're going to merge, and we're going to figure something out and help each other. But thank you so much for your time. Yeah,
Very
super.
proud
It's
of
amazing
us.
work that you're doing. It's
Thank
so
you.
needed.
Yeah.
All right. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Humanize Her would not be possible without the crew behind the scenes. Ash Blodgett, our director and creative producer, for guiding us with expertise, creativity, and passion. Becky Davis, our talented director of photography and creative producer, for bringing our stories to life with stunning visuals. And Kristen West, our director of brand and design, for creating an emotional brand identity. To our listeners, we're on this journey together, and we love hearing how this podcast has helped you. It keeps us going, so please keep sending us your stories to her@humanizeher.com to be featured in upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to help us with this movement, please support by rating and subscribing. Until next time.